Liberation greetings to all and sundry, my dear people of southern Cameroons, fellow brave warriors of the Amazonia Liberation Movement. Accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro, this 30th day of July 2024. I'm delighted to be here once more for us to have yet another session, another important conversation around our liberation movement, about freeing our homeland, and about mobilizing our people to stand strong for what we believe in. So I'm delighted to be here, and I'm glad that you are also here to be part of this very important broadcast. My request as usual will be that you share the link as you join. Share as much as you can, and make sure you get as many more people to subscribe to this channel so we can continue to spread the word, so we can continue to mobilize and encourage ourselves, so we can continue to take advantage of this moment to ensure we position ourselves properly to get La République du Cameroon out of our homeland. That said, my dear people, I got wind of this piece of information late in the night that I think he's now the former divisional officer for Bamenda 2, of course, Colonial, because we don't have divisional officers, but who was our own son, Nicholas Nkomo Manchang, that he finally died on the 29th, that's yesterday, Tuesday, the 29th of July, 2025, after battling seriously with his life at a hospital in Douala. You know, this follows an exchange of gunfire, or not really an exchange. This follows, an unfortunate incident where he was shot at in Limbe, in the southern zone. And so Manchang was divisional officer for Bamenda, appointed by the colonial administration of Paul Biya. Manchang was previously, you are all aware, was previously captured somewhere in Dongamantung. Somewhere captured in Dongamantung along 6 other people, including his bodyguard, when they were en route to attend the installation ceremony of the colonial senior divisional officer for Dongamantung. And so, but eventually he was set free, while his bodyguard and some other uniformed men who were involved in the attack were killed. And I know that from that moment, the government of La République du Cameroon had, put in place a strategy to eventually delete Mr. Mancham. Why did they want to delete him? Why would they set up a strategy to delete him? Because after that incident in Dongamantung, at which he was not killed, but was eventually released along with his girlfriend, there was a lot of talk, especially from one evil group known as My Country People Them, run by one Nkonda Titus, who went on a rampage insinuating that Mr. Nicholas Nkomo Mancham was released and not killed by the self-defense volunteers or by the freedom fighters of Amazonia, not because of anything else, but because he was one of them. They contended that he was a supporter and even a sponsor of the liberation movement. I mean, the same liberation movement that he was fighting tooth and nail in Bamenda as a colonial divisional officer. And so the Republic had pinched their fingers and they had been looking for an opportunity to get even with him. That is how finally he traveled to Limbe, and they themselves set up their machinery in Limbe to bring him down in Limbe, and thought that they were going to easily hide that behind the notion that he was tracked down by the southern Cameroon's freedom fighters, Amazonian freedom fighters, because he was an ardent supporter of a one Cameroon, an ardent supporter of the Biya system. You need to know this always. I have said it, I'll reiterate it, I will repeat it every other day that as it stands, all of those southern Cameroonians who continue to serve La République du Cameroon should bear in mind that for La République du Cameroon, of course, you heard a retired commissioner of police who was director of judicial police for La République du Cameroon, Albert Ebele, said profusely that for Paul Biya, the people of the southern Cameroons are subhumans. They are only being used for the purpose of the regime, for the purpose of their black on black colonial ambition, and of course for the French proxy colonial ambition. And so for that reason, they can dispense of you at will. They really don't care. Once they believe that you have stopped being useful for them, or they still believe too that perhaps you're not giving them your 100%, or they just think, they don't even need to believe, they just think or imagine that you're not giving them your 100%, anything can happen to you at any time. I'm saying this because even soldiers serving with La République du Cameroon of southern Cameroon's extraction who managed to escape have explained to me how a lot of the time they were deliberately targeted by their own colleagues on the field whenever they had an ambush from the Amazonian freedom fighters. When an ambush occurred and some of them were killed, eventually they went behind and arranged among themselves and will bring down any southern Cameroonian serving in that particular group to claim later on that that was the work of what the people they call Amber Boys. And the reason is simple, because they tell themselves that it's even because of you that we were killed. So I say this always to our people. Don't sacrifice yourself for a system that will never recognize your sacrifice. Don't die for a country that is not worth dying for. This is something that you need to know. Don't die for a system that only sees you as a slave. Because this is exactly what happened to Nkomo Nicholas Manchan. When you look at this other picture on my screen here, you see that is Nzumanto. Nzumanto is a francophone blogger, or is a blogger, a citizen of La République du Cameroun. If you look at the way he announces it, he says l'ancien sous-préfet de Bamenda 2, Nicolas Nkomo, kidnappé l'année passée avec 7 autres personnes, est décédé ce jour, succombant à une blessure par balle. Il y a quelque temps, le sous-préfet s'est fait tirer dessus à Limbe et était depuis lors cloué sur son lit. While he was on his bed, he was appointed divisional officer, I guess somewhere in Baham or somewhere in the west region of La République du Cameroon. But you see the way Nzuimanto announces it, he tells you in very plain terms that he doesn't believe in that fury that Nicholas Nkomo Manchan was killed by those people that they refer to as Amber Boys. So the so-called notion of unknown gunmen is a moniker simply employed to mask the fact that La République du Cameroon's operatives carried out this act to them, an act of revenge, because they wonder why he was not killed among all the people who were arrested in Donga Mantum by the the Amazonian freedom fighters. This is something you need to bear in mind. You recall there was also a gentleman in Idabatu called Roland, who was Roland Ewane, who was also a colonial divisional officer, and who was captured and taken to Nigeria and stayed there for several months undergoing torture before family, people, friends, and well-wishers put together resources to ensure his freedom. Of course, La République du Cameroon's administration took, the credit. But you see, recently, La République du Cameroon promoted people. They made people who were divisional officers, senior divisional officers. Did that happen to Roland Ewane? You should ask yourself that very important question. Did Roland Ewane become senior divisional officer because of someone who underwent such torture, who underwent such psychological debasement for a country that he claims to be his own? He ought to be recognized as a hero and he ought to be elevated. But did that happen? No, he will not. If he were a citizen of the Republic du Cameroon, he would even become a senior divisional officer at 36, like the son of Rene Emmanuel Sadi and others. So you see, this goes back to confirm exactly what I keep telling all of you who are still serving the genocidal system of Mr. Paul Biya, that you are all sacrificial lambs. Not sacrificial lambs that will be known for having done anything for anyone, but you are all being used, simply being used, and you will be dumped. I'm going to come on here with a slot generated to me by some, some police commissioners of Southern Cameroon's extraction who are showing, I mean, should I say, who are showing in a very triumphant, graphic manner the torture that they are receiving within the police corps, the kind of discrimination they are exposed to, and the kind of the kind of psychological torture that they are getting on a daily basis. Yet they're still hanging there when they go out there to kill their own people in the name of a system that doesn't even recognize them. This is something that we need to really pay attention to. The other day, I was also told that the soldiers of the Republic du Cameroon went and was spraying tear gas. I mean, spraying tear gas right into the Bamenda General Hospital, and quite some of it got to the area where mothers. This is exactly how it was described. That tear gas was thrown right behind the post-natal ward, around the postnatal ward, where recovering mothers and their babies were forced to get out of the ward and run away. Some older folks who couldn't move were badly suffocated. This is something that they will not do in their own land. We have seen supporters of Maurice Kamto take to the streets in the Republic du Cameroon, move all over the place, screaming, shouting against Paul Biya or whatnot, freely. We saw them in Bepanda, we saw them in Douala, a good lot of them, likely in the thousands. Nothing happened to anyone, not a single one was arrested. No tear gas was thrown on anyone. Nobody was wounded. Nobody ended up in the hospitals. But can you try that in the southern Cameroons? Try that in Boya. Try that in Bamenda. Try that in Kumba. Try that in Victoria. Try that in Kumbo. The only thing that you will see will be bodies sleeping everywhere. That's exactly how they see us. Albert Ebene has always been on point when he says, for Paul Biya, the people of the southern Cameroons are subhumans. We should learn. These things happen before our very eyes on a daily basis, but we refuse to learn. We don't want to see. That's how someone sent this very angry part of understanding, Beatty himself. He says another great provocation for the people of the southern Cameroons at this time is to see a lunatic, this powerless John Gute, moving around and holding CPDM meetings in what he calls Southwest and Northwest. That is what John Gute has been relegated to an errand boy, to some kind of, to a kind of ngaput, who has been relegated to the southern Cameroon. Just say, every time, just keep going to your people to go and pirate and deceive them. He will stop in Douala, inaugurate one or two important projects for the Republic du Cameroon, then leave from there, move empty-handed with nothing absolutely to show, and find himself either in Boya, in Limbe, or in Bamenda, making stupid noise of, oh, Paul Biya is the this, Paul Biya is the that, and all of those things. That is all John Gute has been reduced to. That's all John Gute, who is being berated, even by children, babies, infants in the Republic du Cameroon, has been reduced to. The ridicule they are giving John Gute, the humiliation they are heaping on him, the way they are walking on him, grinding him, is symbolic of exactly what they are doing for all southern Cameroonians. That thing that they are doing to him, they are showing to the people of the southern Cameroons, you are nothing, and there is nothing you can do. That you are toothless bulldogs, you can only make noise. We will use your own people to continue to reduce you to rubble. That is why even in the heart of all what is going on, Paul Biya or Ngongo still has the courage to go ahead and sign a decree to say they are going to appoint citizens of La République du Cameroon as notaries public all over Amazonia, so that they will come and be the ones extorting from us in our various villages just because we want to have titles over our own land. We will not only pay to the divisional, to the state officials who are surveyors, who are colonial GOs, who are colonial SDOs, colonial governors appointed from the Republic du Cameroon. We will also start paying additionally to notaries public and our lawyers. Our common law lawyers who hitherto play the role of notaries public will find this revenue center disappearing. They don't care because they tell themselves they are always going to have the backing of the so-called Southern Cameroon's elite who are members of the CPDM crime syndicate. And when you see, this is the John Gute here. This is the Ngaputish man here somewhere in the Southern Cameroon saying he's holding meetings. I mean, I don't know how low he wants to descend. I don't know just how loud he wants the Republic to tell him that he is a piece of, I don't even want to pronounce the word. A piece of shh. I don't want to end it because it's so bad. And why is they doing all of this? Chantal Bia and her gang are they busy sucking all the money that is coming out of the exploitation of crude oil in Dian in the backwaters, like himself said, of Dian and Fako, and using that for their purpose, doing all kinds of lousy things about buying themselves castles all over the world, sending their children everywhere. I mean, living luxurious lives, arrogant luxury, and using John Gute to keep the people calm while that is done. And see what the people are left with. This is a road in Mato. This is a road leading to Mato in the southern zone, not far away from John Gute's Bobongo village. Look at it.
Since the morning time come out 10 o'clock. At 4 o'clock you see they already reach Mato and I body that's Mato. When I see what Mato, you want to talk about this side. You got an idea above. Mato is so far. Mato is and I body that since the morning time come out 10 o'clock. At 4 o'clock you see they already reach Mato and I body that's Mato. When I see what Mato.
So you look at that. This is a footpath. It cannot even be graded. It cannot even be maintained. This is the road to Mato in the southern zones of the southern Cameroons. But you ask those members of the CPDM crime syndicate, they say, oh, they fought so hard to get the post of prime minister. And what has that post of prime minister given you? You ask the people of South Cameroon, say, oh, Paul Biya is doing a lot for us. They have appointed Alova Lyonga. They have appointed Fulcanisus Gentry. They have appointed Atanga Naponji. They have appointed my own sister Rose Acha. They have appointed this, they have appointed that. You see, they are doing this and that. But look at the kind of roads. That one that I showed you was in the southern zone. Let's go to the northern zone in Gi. See.
Urontombu ise moto na wa moto tizro tombu wi o na goto o le uno si te alai una goto o goto Jesus o oi oh
you sing that sing it is sing that sing it is sing
Jesus oi Sabu, ukwita timbazume no chini ukwita. Let me check. There you. So they all chop away, all things away. See roots. Yes, I confirm. Mamma small time no go village again. You wanna which kind of style? Jesus. God help us. Help us.
No, we need to help ourselves. There's nobody who will come and help you. You're screaming, help us. Nobody is coming. This is shameful. This is painful. And there's a lunatic indeed there. One serious lunatic. Lousy around making stupid audios and telling people, oh, Ingi, one Cameroon and all of those things. This is, I mean, it's so draining. So painful. Very painful. Very, very painful. Very painful. Can you imagine this? And you find somebody moving around and making claims that he is a prime minister, he is whatever, he is left, he is right, and all of this. It's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. No. Well, like I said, this is what we are left with. As Southern Cameroonians, we have to fight. We have to fight and fight and fight very hard to take back our country. That is our only salvation. That is the hard way. It is the only way. Look at why my people on the road to Mato have been there the whole day struggling to get to Mato. They can't. On horrible road conditions. The ones in Gi, as you saw there, almost, I mean, you would have hearing about death if we're not, God's protection. Look at how they are stressing and screaming and shouting. At the same time, the video I'm about to show you is showing you the parking lot of one man in La République du Cameroon. They call him Vondo Ayolo. He's a director of the civil cabinet at the presidency of the republic. All the money that he's using to do that is coming from the Southern Cameroons. From the Southern Cameroons, all the money. And they are permitting themselves this kind of lives because of enablers like those idiots, the Mbelamokis, the Njingu Musas, the Bangmi Emmanuels, the Fotabe Tandos, the Ngala Gerards, the Anyerecha Sakas, all of those people who go and sit there and say that they are our representatives. And such idiots, nobody elected them, but it's because of them that these people can live this kind of luscious life while our people are dying in real time on a daily basis. Take a look. All these cars that you are seeing in this parking lot belong to one man. One man. Just the tires for one of those cars can deliver a lot of development in our land. Look at all this belong to one man in Yaoundé. It's not that somebody who is based abroad, a civil servant. He's not a businessman. He's not. These are the things that you see Anaranga put, like Ashonyenti will come and stand and say, President Paul Biya is a blessing. This is that blessing that you are seeing. This parking lot for one man. If this doesn't make you feel horrified, if this doesn't rebel you to stand up and join the people of the Southern Cameroons so we can take back our land and develop it and offer our people a better life, then something is seriously wrong with you. Look at that. Painful to watch. Painful to watch. And while they are exploiting our land, while they are doing this, while they are torturing our people, you have a member of parliament of La République du Cameroon under the PCRN party, Roland Ngo-Isi, saying this here. She said in 2020, there was a serious outcry and she rushed to go delete this. But before she deleted it, it was already captured. Where it says, nous allons dératiser tous ces anglophones. Trop c'est trop. On ne joue pas avec l'autorité de l'État. You hear that? Nous allons dératiser Tous ces anglophones. This is a member of parliament in La République du Cameroon. No outcry, nothing. But you hear what she says? Dératiser. Dératiser, this is something that was first of all said by a gentleman on Vision Card who said they will dératiser. That was Jacques Zé, who said il faut passer à une dératisation. Now, a member of parliament under the PCRN of Cabral Libye says, nous allons dératiser tous ces anglophones. You see, mark her words. She says, we are all rats and roaches. She put this up on the 10th of July 2020. And nous allons dératiser tous ces anglophones. And she is there, sitting in the same hemicycle with Joshua Ossi. No outrage. Sitting in the same hemicycle with all of those idiots called Ngala, Gerald, and the others. No outrage. But she's not saying nous allons dératiser ces séparatistes. She doesn't say, he said tous ces anglophones. Tout, including you, Djambute, including you, Mbela Mokichas, aka Ngaringa, including you, Ngala Gerald, who organized the killing of your people in Gabu, including you, Focalistus Gentry, who participated, including you, Musa Shameful, who participated, all of you, including you, for Tabetando and the others who organized the killing and roasting of your people in Manu. I mean, this is horrifying. Horrifying. Coming from someone who calls herself honorable. Roland Ngo ici. Perhaps you're not seeing her face there properly. I will let you see her face. And after that, you see what again she posted. She posted this. Of course, this is the map of La République du Cameroon at independence in 1960. On January 1, 1960. You see that this map that Roland Ngo ici posted here on Twitter, I mean at the time it was Twitter, now it's X. You see this map does not include the southern Cameroons. I don't know how much our people want to be told to their faces that you don't belong. This was soon after she described all southern Cameroonians as rats. As rats that need to be wiped out from the surface of the earth. She moved on to post this map as to say, to remind you that we are not actually part of their country. We are only an appendix. We are a conquered territory, and that is why we need to be wiped out and the resources maintained for them. They have said before that we are Biafrans who should leave their land and go, or they are interested in adding resources and not us. Who has ever paid heed? You are watching me. You are in America. You are in Western Europe. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't shock you to come back from your, from your short holiday, to come back from your hiatus, to join this place who will kick out La République du Cameroon from our land. Then you need to be taken to a psychiatric hospital. This is painful, very painful for that matter, very painful. And you want to see her face properly so that you will not doubt that I'm saying she's a member of parliament. Here she is, Honorable Roland Ngo ici. Roland Ngo ici is a citizen of La République du Cameroon. She hails from the littoral region of La République du Cameroon. She is a member of Cabral Libye's PCRN party. This lady you see here, who describes all southern Cameroonians as rats. And I see some southern Cameroonians rushing there to say, oh, Cabral Libye is a young man, needs to be supported. I saw even Barrister Tamfu, that I actually did, respect. Barrister Tamfu. Go out there to say trash and to say how Cabral Libye is so intelligent, has a political agenda, has a this and that. This one is a member of parliament from his party, describing all of us, including you, Barrister Tamfu, as a rat. Did you ever hear Cabral Libye come out to say this is horrible, this is unacceptable? If you're just joining and you think that I am kidding here, this is that tweet once more. Roland Ngo ici, member of parliament in La République du Cameroon. So when she says this, and then you go back to what the retired police commissioner Albert Ebene says, that Paul Biya doesn't consider the people of the southern Cameroons as humans. He considers us as subhumans. That is why his collaborators, his people, can treat us the way they want. You will therefore not be surprised to see that someone posted this kind of trash, and you see he had 32 retweets. 32 retweets. You want to look at likes? Oh my goodness. There are just as many. You see hearts, 82 hearts. These are from citizens of La République du Cameroon to tell you this is who they are. This screenshot was taken by Mimi Mefo. That's how you see them. This screenshot was taken by Mimi Mefo. And I mean, I'm delighted that she did capture this to keep for the times of for the pages of history. Absolutely embarrassing. Yet you have some Ngapu going around calling himself prime minister and deceiving people. You have some Ngaputs going around calling themselves ministers and telling people nonsense. You have some lunatics going around calling themselves senators, calling themselves MPs, spewing rubbish. And you have some illiterates calling themselves mayors and all of those things and creating confusion around. My dear people of Ambazonia, it is time for those of you who have been standing on the fence to rush back to the into the fray. We can't continue to sit and watch this kind of things, ridiculing us, tapping our resources, and don't watch us any kind of thing. Come on, come on. And while all this is happening, you find someone who is not even a Southern Cameroonian. He is not a Southern Cameroonian. He is not even an African. This is the one that has been fighting on social media tooth and nail every day for the people of Ambazonia. I'm talking of for Mr. Tibor Nagy, the former Undersecretary at the Bureau of African Affairs at the U.S. State Department, Mr. Tibor Nagy. He held that position from 2016 or 2017 all the way to 2020. And ever since he left office, he has worked tirelessly to help the people of the Southern Cameroons to come together for our common interest. Sometimes some of our people, because we are fighting for stupid, lousy positions of president here, president there, or whatever here, have even had the guts to use hard words on him. But you see, in this article, he in this tweet on X, he's actually saying here, gutsy article. He's referencing an article. This article I'm going to share profusely. I'm going to share the link. On the comment section of this video, so you can go and read that article. It's a gutsy article asking if Macron is recognizing Palestine as a state. Why not Ambazonia? And it says Robin gives a background to the Ambazonian struggle and reasons why Southern Cameroonians seek to go their own way due to many abuses by the Biya regime. This is Tibor Nagy. While Tibor Nagy, who is not even an African, he's not a Southern Cameroonian, as was for that matter. He's not married from the Southern Cameroons, has no real ties to the Southern Cameroons. Why he is so concerned about the plight and then, of course, the well-being of our people. You have Jungute moving around making lousy noises. You have Mbeda Mokichas only standing there and talking about the people we don't like. You have Atanga Ponji only doing everything to get his own people killed on a daily basis, as long as he maintains himself as a clown or as a court jester in the court of La République du Cameroon, saying he's Minister of Territorial Administration. You have Fu Jonathan meeting there, playing to the galleries, just as long as he remains assistant director general. What's left for us? Calixtus Fu Gentry, all of them. This is something that should irritate you and me. My dear people of Ambazonia, if it doesn't pain you, it really pains me. Let's take a quick break. and we'll come back, we'll cross over to our noisy neighbors and see how their tsunami is being prepared. Hang on.
Amazonia, in your life, never to fall again. Yes, Phobia, if you don't be that Satan, why be say anytime we want something, we will benefit and grow food. We get for fight, protest with brothers and sisters, and they get for die. See, University of Boya, University of Bamenda, when we fight with GC born, all the social francophone they don't take her over. Don't be so? Yes, that's so. Where we think say Pharisee partner for them will go chop money something for get work will begin them. You don't bring your francophone, they don't take them over. You must be by say before one can join you. South Cameroon, they became the first democratic government for inside Africa.
Exactly. Before we found ourselves joining these lost souls, we were the first functional democracy south of the Sahara, in Africa, south of the Sahara. That's what it was. Anyway, welcome back, folks. Over in La République du Cameroon, of course, this document I'm showing here is a document we've seen everywhere on social media, indicating when the Kamto camp urged Elekam to give an official paperwork indicating exactly why the candidature of Maurice Kamto was denied. And of course, upon the delivery of this document, Elekam issued this other one, on which, in very few words, they simply said the candidature of Maurice Kamto was denied because the party that he seeks to represent fielded two candidates. That was the reason it was denied. But at the same time, we all recall that the CPDM party fielded two candidates. Elekam received the two candidatures and published a list of individuals who had presented candidatures, and on that list there was someone called Leon Tilla, who was also a candidate for the CPDM party, along with Paul Biya was also candidate for the CPDM party. At the same time, Unrest demonstrated, also presented two candidates, Akeremuna and another lady. But surprisingly enough, the only political party, or the only candidate who was rejected because the political party he was to represent fielded two candidates was the Manidem. Questions were asked, and eventually when Elekam released their paperwork, they claimed that only political parties or leaders of political parties were authorized to submit documents of candidature for anyone on behalf of their political parties. And so they claimed that Leon Tilla of the CPDM party was not presented by the leadership of the CPDM. That is why his candidature could not even be received. But they failed to understand there was an official document issued by Elekam indicating that Elekam had received and admitted the paperwork for Leon Tilla. The same thing they did for the lady for Unrest. But behind the scenes, because everything had to be done to protect Mr. Paul Biya's candidature, and because they did not have to drop Akeremuna because they need to say, okay, there are people from everywhere, the people of Southern Cameroon who show interest in being candidates have to be encouraged to be candidates because they have to tell the world that Southern Cameroon is part of La République du Cameroon and is part of these elections. Of course, they could easily turn a blind eye and say it was not so that the candidacies were not submitted by the leaders of the political parties. So for Univer, the ladies' candidature was not submitted by Nkumvondo. But on the side of the Maniden, forgetting that Atanga Ponji in person had published a document on the site of the Ministry of Territorial Administration, recognizing Anicet Ekane as the only leader to be recognized by the government as the only leader of the political party known as Le Manidem. How comes then that they will reject the candidature of Maurice Kamto on grounds that this other Ngapo, this one, Yepka, who is the star of the moment, on grounds that Yepga, who was ejected, had also presented himself as leader of the same political party, while Maurice Kamto's candidature was presented by the leader, by the other person also claiming to be leader, as they said, and he said Ekane. But they don't tell us that at the 2018 elections, the candidate of the Manidem political party was presented by Anicet Ekane. He was not rejected. Eleka did not say at the time that he was not the real leader of the Manidem. In 2020, same thing was done. Hey, La République du Cameroon did not reject the candidacies presented by Le Manidem on ground that Anicet Ekane was not the real leader of the political party. All political meetings convened by Tanganji himself, the person he invited as the leader of Le Manidem, was Anicet Ekane. You know, this thing went so far, right to the point where Atanga Ponji had to get people to help him, hack the site, hack in inverted commas, the site of his own ministry, to remove that document that his own ministry put there, recognizing Anicet Ekane as the only leader of Le Manidem, to replace it with a document saying he was now Dieudonné Yebga, even after screenshots had been taken. Even after screenshots had been taken and the URL links created, leading people on that website to that particular document. Atanganji had to work overnight with people to dabble even on the site of his own ministry. And then later on, he published a communique claiming that some people had hacked the site of his ministry and introduced some documents there for a representative of a political party that did not have to exist. And when Atanga Ponji was busted by this gentleman that you find here, this gentleman in several audios busted Atanga Ponji in communication, in several audios in which he was communicating with Dieudonné Yebga, where he was reminding Yebga that the role he was playing was an infamous role, an ugly role, and revealed to the entire world that Atanga Ponji was aware of what happened, of the manipulation made on the website. This man, Mevois Jean Benoit, is now on the run. Seriously on the run, because Atanga Ponji has dispatched forces of La République du Cameroon behind this man. Atanga Ponji wants his head, wants him dead or alive. They have not only sent soldiers, gendarmes, police, and all whatnot behind him, they have also sent hired killers who, if they spot him, they take him down. All to protect Atanganji, who now calls himself a sheriff. I don't know since when a minister of territorial administration became a sheriff. Since when a minister of territorial administration became the delegate general for national security, became the secretary of state in charge of the gendarmerie, or became the minister of defense. or became the official in charge of the DGR. I don't recall when that happened, but this is what it is. And now, there's been a serious outcry following the rejection by the Elekam Electoral Board of the candidature of Maurice Kamto. And that outcry has come from all angles, including even from within the CPDM party. And all fingers are pointed at two people, Atanga Ponji of Southern Cameroon's extraction from the Northern Zone, and Eno Abrams Egbe, still of Southern Cameroon's expression from the Southern Zone. You see what they do? They front our people in places where they can only be seen as horrible individuals, where they can only be seen as manipulators, where they can only be seen as people without characters. This is what it is. You have Eno Abraham Egbe, who used to be known as a seasoned administrator, who is also known as somebody who has the fear of God in his heart. But look at how Eno Abrams Egbe is portrayed here today as the hangman doing the dirty jobs of La République du Cameroon. And now they are saying in the corridors that that thing was from Atanga Ponji's mouth to the ears of Eno Abraham Egbe. That those are the two people who were so determined, so hot to make sure that Maurice Kamto will not become candidate. That is why I'm going to come here and show you screenshots that would embarrass you. That the citizens of La République du Cameroon have sent out, pointing out Atanga Ponji's properties all over the place. Even drawing a link between him and Bofas, a company that I know to be headed by Godlove Tala, a gentleman who just battles about to take care of his life, do his business, and take care of his family. But today, Bofas is being linked to Atanga Ponji. I don't know if there is a link. I don't know if Atanga Ponji is a shareholder, but that is what is being said. I mean, they're displaying the property of Atanga Ponji, even his family, his children, all over the place, including even here in the US. Like telling him, we are after you. So even within the CPDM, the outcry is real. As to why did you need to go this far? Why do you have to go this far? And with this with this outcry, I will not be surprised that at the end of the day, the Constitutional Council reinstates the candidature of Maurice Kamto. And at that point, it will be the doing of Clement Atangana. Doing what? Gainsaying lunatics from the Southern Cameroons and pointing out that these are the mediocres, these are the bloodthirsty monsters, these are the nincompoops who are trying to set the country ablaze. Of course, when I come back here late today or early tomorrow, I'll be bringing to you some sound bites that will make you trick, that will understand exactly what I'm talking about. Look here, this is Mesanga Nyamding, a BIist, who is saying here that he is simply embarrassed at how far Atanga Ponji would go to ensure that Maurice Kamto did not become candidate. That is Mesanga Nyamding, who is a BIist. Mesanga Nyamding says, although he is a BIist, he thinks that, the action taken by Atanga Ponji is exaggerated. He thinks that Atanga Ponji has gone mad. That's why he says, Mesanga Nyamding accused Ngongo et Chantal Biya, of course, plus Atanga Ponji, d'être les responsables du rejet de la candidature de Maurice Kamto par Elekam. And he says, le motif du rejet est très grossier, pluralité de candidature, vraiment. This is what he says. That the reason for rejection is just so horrible, doesn't hold water, to the point where, it's simply an embarrassment. He says, Ngongo et Chantal Biya veulent humilier Paul Biya, qu'ils ont pris en otage. Paul Biya n'aurait jamais refusé la candidature de Maurice Kamto. And he says que Ngongo et Chantal Biya laissent Maurice Kamto participer à la présidentielle. Je suis un biaïste. Mais je ne cautionne pas cette façon incorrecte de disqualifier un candidat très sérieux comme Maurice Kamto. You see, and at the end of it all, although you call Chantal Bia Angongo, he knows that their errand boy, their attack dog is Satanga Porji. Get away from Maurice Kamto. You have from Professor Mesanga Nyamding, you have the Professor Biwole. Professor Biwole, here is Professor Ondwa Biwole. This is a lady who is, I don't know if she's now the de facto Director General, but she was the Deputy Director General of the Institut Supérieur du Management Public, of the Higher Institute of Public Management in Yaoundé. You see, she too comes out there to condemn outright what she considers to kind of be a simple, misguided, and unacceptable witch hunt being organized by Atanga Paul Nji on the candidature of Maurice Kamto. She feels that this is really not acceptable. That's why she says it is vraiment grossier. And she's wondering how far these people are ready to go for such stupidity. She too does not deny actually being, a member of the ranks of the CPDM. Now, away from her, you have Calixte Beyala, who says je suis dessus. Ne pas trouver Maurice Kamto aux élections de 2025 est un échec démocratique. S'agit-il d'une tricherie politique, d'une fourberie démocratique, d'un piège républicain ou d'une embuscade politique, tout simplement? And all of these attacks and everything, they are all directed at Atanga Ponji, much as they know that those who are behind it will be Chantal Bia, will be Ferdinand Gongo, but the one who is fronting, the one who is put in front, the ones who are put in front are Atanga Ponji and Eno Abrams Egbe. It gets even so bad that even another presidential candidate who himself is facing the prospect of his candidature being rejected at the level of the Constitutional Council because the CPDM party, of course, Ferdinand Gongo and Chantal Bia, have bribed people from within his own party to protest his candidature and say he had been deposed as the president of the party, as the chairman of the party. Issa Chiruma Bakari comes out in a strongly worded document to condemn the act by Eleka and Atanga Ponji to disqualify the candidature of Maurice Kamto and calls for the immediate reinstatement of that candidature. And in all this, he even explains that from the things that have been gathered here and there, the information gathered from audios coming from left and right, it's a clear indication that Maurice Kamto was simply being targeted, and that is a full-blown machination to ensure that Maurice Kamto in particular will not be candidate at the presidential election. And you know what is in those audios? What is in those audios simply are discussions between Yebga and Mevoa that show clearly that Atanga Ponji is implicated in this act that led to the rejection of the candidature of Maurice Kamto. That's why if you go back to Biwole, she says, je pense que l'affaire Kamto devient une affaire de république. Il a le droit d'y participer parce qu'il est Camerounais. Et les autres ont le devoir d'expliquer pourquoi il ne participe pas. Il ne participe pas. C'est lui aujourd'hui. Demain, ce sera quelqu'un d'autre. So you see, the outrage is clear. The outrage is clear. Even from people who are supposed to be regime apologists. This shows you that Atanga Ponji and Eno Abrams Egbe have really overplayed their hands. The audios between Mevoa Jean Benoit and Benefice and Mr. Jedone Yebga show very clearly that Atanganji himself masterminded the so-called hacking of the website of his ministry. Disgusting, to say the least. And then you have Jean-Bruno Tanya, this BBC journalist who I understand is now more or less based in the United States of America. I was going to wonder that he was in La République du Cameroon and publishing such opinions, in which he says that Achanga Ponji, along with Ferdinand Gongo, with Chantal Biya, were simply being so naive and stupid. And he says that Paul Biya in his days had a different approach at doing this. He says Jean-Bruno Tanya is actually saying the elections have always been rigged, will always be rigged, but at least Paul Biya allowed his opponents to participate, to give the semblance of some kind of democratic exercise before going ahead to rig his thing at the end of the day. That's why he says, quand Paul Biya était libre, that when Paul Biya was free. What Jean-Bruno Tanya is saying here is that Paul Biya at this point is not free. That Paul Biya, of course, is a hostage of, Chantal Biya, Ferdinand Gongo, with their errand boy Atanga Ponji. Because he says, du temps où le président Paul Biya était maître de lui-même et jouissait pleinement de toute sa liberté. You said that when Paul Biya was himself, was a master of the whole thing, and was enjoying his freedom, was free. So you hear, Paul Biya is a hostage. Paul Biya is captive. I'm not the one saying Jean-Bruno Tanya. Il n'empêchait pas ses adversaires, même les plus farouches, de se présenter aux élections. That he never stopped his adversaries, even the strongest ones like the Fundis and all of them, from participating in election. Il les laissait au moins concourir et tricher ensuite avec un certain doigté pour gagner. That he would allow them to participate, give the semblance that there is an election, and go ahead and cheat and simply rig the thing, take the whole stuff and all of this. And says that Atanga Ponji and these individuals today are simply amateurs and are going too far and are likely to set the country ablaze. And that is why you see they have this quote of Atanga Ponji here, of Atanga Ponji saying, vous devez organiser des patrouilles. Vous devez scruter les faits et gestes de tout un chacun. Tout ce qui peut comporter des risques. Look at, these are instructions that you get from officials in charge of the security of a country. So in the context of Cameroon, you should get this coming from the Delegate General of National Security. You should get this coming from the Director General of External Research, DGRO. You should get this coming from the Secretary of State, Galax Etoga, in charge of the Gendarmerie. You should have this coming from the Minister of Defense, Joseph Betty Assomo. Not from a nincompoop who is only Minister of Territorial Administration. He moves around calling himself sheriff. And look at what he's saying. So he's saying that he's actually ordering the forces of lawlessness and disorder in the République du Cameroon to go around harassing people. That was if they organize the patrouille. Then you have to check every single individual, their acts and their actions or whatever they say, and see anyone who appears to present any kind of risk. Send him to the guillotine. This is Atanga Ponji. That's why, my people, I have said Atanga Ponji is the #1 amber boy that we have. Because Atanga Ponji is the one who's going to set that country ablaze for us. Atanga Ponji is not failing. He is living up to his billing. If you happen to need Atanga Ponji anywhere you're on the place, give him a kola nut. Give him a piece of kola nut on my behalf. Or I know that he drinks champagne. Give him a bottle of champagne on my behalf. Tell him he's doing an incredible job. Please don't forget to remind Atanga Ponji we are counting on him to finish this whole thing for us. Because with Atanga Ponji in charge, trust me, La République du Cameroon cannot escape the tsunami that is coming right ahead, that Armageddon. Atanga Ponji, you are the man of the match. Yeah. Atanga Ponji, like he says himself, he's a real cruel, the cruelest of all sheriffs in town. He will make sure to continue to raise the temperature, until the fire sparks, as we're all looking forward to. Oh yes, I think Aponji is the man of the match. And so, Blériot, Nyemek, descended on Maurice Kamto just as you would expect. I said that country is in a powder magazine. Just watch.
Kamto aurait officiellement 74 ans, âge apparent 80 ans. Donc, quand tu vois Kamto, il ressemble à un homme de 80 ans. Kamto est politiquement fini. Il n'y a rien là-dedans.
Ah bon?
Il n'y a plus rien là-dedans.
Vous faites dans la voie.
J'ai vu Kamto l'autre jour, tous ses cheveux ont sauté. Donc, on ne va pas quitter un vieillard pour un autre vieillard. C'est insupportable. Kamto, sachant qu'il est fini, il veut incendier à la fois la forêt et la savane avant de partir. Kamto, tu ne réussiras pas. Kamto aurait officiellement
Did you hear that? He says, hear him again.
74 ans, âge à...
So he says Kamto will be officially 74. But he refuses to accept Kamto's age. Blériot Nyame refuses to accept that 74 is Kamto's real age. But he's ready to accept that 92 or 93 is Paul Biya's real age. So that's why he decided to add Kamto 6 more years. That's why he says 74 is certainly birth certificate age. But the real age, that Kamto's real age that you are seeing, his real age should be about 80. But for him, Paul Biya's real age is 92 or 93. He doesn't add. But Kamto, he adds 6 more years. Oh my goodness, I say it's going to be very interesting. And I like it that Paul Chuta concludes it in this manner. That la solution, c'est la rue. Si on ne veut pas descendre dans la rue, alors accompagnons la dictature et taisons-nous. Paul Chuta. Paul Chuta is a blogger of La République du Cameroon. So he is saying what everybody is saying. He is saying what other Africans across the continent are saying. That in Cameroon, the only solution will be found in the streets, not in the ballot box. I don't know if those stupid people, permit me really use that hard word, in the southern Cameroon who continue to talk nonsense about federalism or one Cameroon and all of those things, and then even calling our people to go to the ballot box to go and vote that something that come from there. I don't know if they are seeing this. Citizens of the Republic of Cameroon themselves are recognizing more and more that the change they are seeking in their country will never come through the ballot box. It will only come either on the streets or through the ballot box. I'm not the one saying it. I'm just interpreting it. So you can see it for yourselves. So the Simon Munzus and all of those two moving around and talking trash about federalism or whatsoever. I guess every day you saw even the decree about notaries public. La République du Cameroon is on a daily basis reminding you that the people who have been right from day one and who are still right today and who will be right tomorrow and always are those you are calling separatists, are us, the pro-independentists. But if you don't make haste to jump ship, you find yourself wanting at the end of the day. My dear people of Amazonia, I want to thank you all for taking time off to be with me, to share with me on this platform. It's always a delight to be with you. So go ahead, share the link, share as much as you can. Let our people be informed, let our people be edified, so we remain all mobilized, and do not hesitate to make a contribution to get this this liberation movement continue to be strong. Do not hesitate to make a contribution, that very important contribution that will help us continue to support the civil society on ground zero, who will continue to be very strong for us. If you are unable to make a contribution using any of our online platforms, the amberrelief2018@gmail.com, reach out to me using the number that you are seeing on the scroll, and that is, like I always say, WhatsApp only. You can text, you can call, and let's make an arrangement on how you make your contribution to finance our freedom, to finance your freedom. Thank you very much for your very kind attention, and to God be all the glory.